Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. Well, President Nelson did not speak. Don't know why. Don't know if it means anything. Is he tired? Is he frail right now? Doesn't look like it. I don't think that's the reason why. I don't have an answer, and I don't have very many notes either. There's a lot of good spiritual messages. Not a whole lot by way of it sounds bad, but clues or anything for the second coming or changes in the church or anything like that. But let's just review this again really quick in case you didn't catch the last live stream, and if anybody new is watching. All right, let me click on this first. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, give me a second. While I'm pulling this up, well, no, I'll save that. I did it. I did the exact same thing over again. It's because of this. That window looks similar to the other one. Okay. Let's go to timeline. No. Prophets, President Nelson's talks. Okay. So, just a brief overview. I've been keeping track of all of President Nelson's talks, the names of his talks. For each conference, what is the first session in which he talks? And the vast majority of the time, it's Saturday morning. We didn't hear from him Saturday morning. We didn't hear from him Saturday afternoon. Okay, it looks like there's only one conference, October 2019, when he spoke Saturday afternoon. And then only 2 times that he waited to speak at the general priesthood session. So, and then that's a total of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now 11. So this is his 11th general conference. Okay, so out of those 11 times, there's only 3 times that he did not speak the Saturday morning session. Only 3 out of 11. So all those other times, all those other 8 times, he spoke Saturday morning. So what's happened this time is something that has not happened his entire presidency. Now, how does that compare to other presidents of the church? I don't know. Maybe I'll try and figure that out, in the days to come or the weeks to come, if it seems significant enough. But I don't know. It's just odd. So let's take a look at the chat here. I'm going to try and start it from the beginning, if possible. Goblin's here. The evening session was wonderful. Lori Hast agrees. Christine Buck. It was. I'm really impressed by the choirs today. Goblin, I wonder if President Nelson is waiting to speak tomorrow for something special. We can only hope. And I hope it has nothing to do with his health or anything. I doubt that it does. Lori Hast was wondering the same thing. Debbie Fleming didn't know it would only be an hour, with a tear coming down her face. I think we noted this last conference, though, because I think it was this very same session, the Saturday evening session, where it felt like it was kind of cut short. I can't remember. My memory's not perfect, but what? It was? Oh, Jenica's saying that it was. Cynthia Christofferson, does anyone else feel like the Savior just ministered to each one of us individually? Yeah, I could feel that, see that. The Greatest Cause wonders the same thing about if there's he has something special planned for tomorrow. Green Tree, just 1 hour. Phil 6182, I'm curious to see what tomorrow brings. Lori has the same. Cynthia Christopherson, agree. Okay, so everybody's in accordance. Okay, so we're having a Zion moment right now where we're all of one heart, one mind on this issue. The greatest cause. The first talk about poise really struck me. Again, I feel like that's one of the the themes of this conference, is just being said in so many different ways, to look to the future with hope. And when we have, there's going to be difficult times and stuff like that between now and when Christ comes, but it's okay. Remember who you are. Remember that the Lord is on your side because you're on His side, and He'll protect you. And anyway, Debbie Fleming, music was heavenly. Audrey, I thought President Nelson seemed kind of weak and more feeble as he walked off the podium. It's possible, but not compared to last conference. Because if you'll remember, last conference he had the bodyguard kind of like right there with him, pretty much always keeping like physical contact with him, like kind of like holding his arm or his elbow area. He when he spoke, he had like a stool, and he even put that on his social media, the fact that he was sitting on a stool. So at the very least, it seems like he's doing better than last time. That's my observations. My observation. Lori Hess. Okay, we already talked about that. Goblin makes me wonder if President Nelson has a special Easter message tomorrow. Could be. Ellen Wright, Elder Useda, for President of the Universe. I could listen to him all week. I know. He was. I don't know. It's so great how all of us are so like individual, and our person. It's like there's not going to be another person like him, and he really delivers his message in a special way. And it was a real treat to hear him talk. I'm going to scroll down, so I'm sorry. I'm going to be missing some of the chat comments. Twin Angels, President Rosalind Milton. He's got the good news. He's got the goods tomorrow. Susan B. Coors, agree about wonderful choir arrangements. Sorry, skipping down. It's kind of going fast. General Kenobi, is the evening session over? Yep, it is. Again, I want to say that this same thing happened last conference. It was like the according to Jenica, she has a better memory than I do. The Saturday evening session was shorter. So this is now at least 2 conferences in a row. I can't really remember going back, but I seem to always remember that the Saturday evening session, whether it was priesthood session or for the women or a joint session, it seems like it was always 2 hours. So I don't know. Karen McCain, I didn't expect them to sing He is Risen until tomorrow morning. Well, I'll tell you what I didn't expect. President Oaks, and I made a note of this, he said that we're going to sing the Easter anthem, He is Risen. And I didn't know if like anthem had some other definition from what I'm used to. So I looked up the definition. An anthem is a rousing or uplifting song identified with a particular group, body, or cause. So I think most of us, when we think of anthem, we think about like national anthems. Of course, I at least I knew that there's other like anthems out there, but I don't think I've ever heard He is Risen referred to as an anthem. And then definition number 2, a choral composition based on a biblical passage for singing by a choir in a church service. So maybe that wasn't really a big deal. I was just kind of like, what? Because like with like all this talk about elevating Easter to the same level as Christmas and the way that we celebrate it, I was wondering, are they going to make this like an official like church thing? He is Risen is now kind of like the main Easter song for the church. Anyway, I don't know. Tim Washington, it was kind of a short session. I expected to see another speaker. Kind of surprised President Nelson didn't speak. Yep. I don't know if let me just repeat it again. For those just joining right now, President Nelson, I counted it up. This is now his 11th general conference as president of the church. There's only 3 times that he didn't speak during the Saturday morning session. One of those 3 times he spoke in the Saturday afternoon, and the other 2 times it was the general priesthood session. Now, what's interesting here, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but his first general conference was special because he was now the president of the church. So that was special. We had a changing of the guard, a new mouthpiece of the Lord. So him waiting to speak till general priesthood session, that was probably intentional and maybe had to do with this how special that occasion was. I don't know. The next time was April 2019. I view that as a special conference because that's the only time that we've ever heard a prophet specifically say that time is running out. And I know that because I've used the BYU Scripture Citation Index that lets you search General Conference talks going back to 1942. And believe me, I have searched far and wide for phrases like that in similar phrases. No one has ever said that before, that time is running out. And it was during that talk, the Come Follow Me talk right here, April 2019, that he showed a burnt city, a city that was destroyed by fire. That's significant, I think, because the world is going to be destroyed by fire. It was like a very warning type talk. And this talk was in the middle of this weird pattern of, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that again. So what I'm trying to say is that these times, with maybe the exception of the October 2019, because I'm not sure anything particularly special happened in that conference, but the fact that he's not speaking until tomorrow could point to the fact that something is up, something special will happen tomorrow. I'm not making any promises, I can't do that, but these are my observations. Okay, Latter-day Help. President Nelson's kindness is what we should strive for. Goblin, I think it's cool that President Oaks mentioned that way about the song He Is Risen. Oh yeah, like calling it in the Easter anthem. Sherry Johnson, I missed not hearing from him. Yeah, I was looking forward to it. I guess we'll just have to practice the virtue of patience. Rick Brenneman, President Oaks had me wondering when he called He Is Risen Easter anthem. Okay, so I'm not the only one that thought that was kind of different. Teresa Lane, I'm glad it was a short session. It was perfect. You're not supposed to say that out loud. You're supposed to keep that up here. Jeff H., how many new temples? No temples announced yet. Michelle Vallejo, I gave out another Book of Mormon. Please record it on your tracker. Okay, I'll do it for you. But if anyone else has given out any other copies of the Book of Mormon, don't tell me in the chat. Put it in the comment section of a regular video, or send me an email, because it's harder for me to search that when it's in a chat. But I'm gonna update that right now, just for you, Michelle. Just kidding. If there's any new people, I want to show you anyway. We're doing this Book of Mormon challenge. We're calling it basically the Flood the Earth challenge, where I haven't updated this for a few days because the last couple days have been kind of special for me. Like we've been busy, we've been doing things. I don't know. So I haven't been able to do any videos the last couple days. But as of the 29th, we are at 5,036 copies of the Book of Mormon that have been shared. But this has definitely gone up since that time. It goes up every day. And there's someone that reported more baptisms, not just one, but a couple. So I'm going to have to update that, which is a really cool thing for someone to say right as conference is happening. Well, it was actually like yesterday that she left the comment. So anyway, share the Book of Mormon, use the Gospel Library app to do that. That's the easiest way, or just do it the regular way with a hard copy. But using the Gospel Library app, there's a button there when you go to Scriptures that says share the Book of Mormon, and then you can text it, direct message, email, whatever. So, Michelle Vallejo. Oh, there it is. She is at 2 copies of the Book of Mormon shared. So we're going to update that to 3. All right, perfect. Look at Michael Young, 73 copies of the Book of Mormon. Mopaditi is by far in the lead. This person is like, I'm still going to count it, but he or she is like sending it to everybody, like their entire contact list from everywhere. So that person's been on fire. Anyway, a lot of people doing quite a bit here. If you've only done a few, it's fine. Thanks for doing something in the first place. But the channel goal, the goal that I'm pressing for everybody is 10. So if you can do at least 10, that would be great. I myself have exceeded. I can't remember. I'm like at 60 something. I don't know. I'm working my way through my contacts list. Okay, the haystack. I hope we hear from the other 8 prophets and apostles for Palm Sunday. That's an interesting thought, because it feels like today, the sessions have been very 70 heavy, 70 and other general authorities and officers of the church rather than apostles. In fact, let me take a look at that really quick. Why don't we take a look at that? Let's see. So, holy cow, this session, it didn't have any apostles speak, right? Mark A. Bragg, Milton or is it Na? I don't know. Milton Roca Camargo, K. Brett Natress, and Juan A. Uceda. So no apostles this session. And then the last session, we had Dale G. Renlund, and then Elder Uchtdorf. So 2 the last session. And then Saturday morning we had Gary E. Stevenson, Garrett W. Gong, Quentin L. Cook, and then President Eyring. So we've had a total of 5 apostles speak, and then I'm having President Eyring be separate because he's a member of the First Presidency. So 1 member of the First Presidency, and then 5 from the Quorum of the 12. If I'm counting that right. And I wish I could tell you if that's unusual or not. It feels like it is. It seems like that first session was apostle heavy, or more apostle heavy. And then these other 2, pretty light when it comes to apostles. Only 2 in the afternoon, and then only 1, none this evening. So that feels a little bit different. So going back to what Haystack was saying, yeah, maybe they're saving it up. Maybe tomorrow's going to be a really intense day. Zybarth is correcting my pronunciation. Natress rhymes with mattress, so natris. Okay, I should know that, right? You just swap out the M for an N, and then yeah, of course. Thank you, Robin Rush. I bet Holland was supposed to talk tonight's session. Oh yeah, that could be. I wonder when they made the call that he wasn't going to be able to participate in this general conference. But that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's probably why. I think the evening session still would have been short, kind of like last time. But you're probably right. I'll bet Elder Holland would have spoken. Al Parsons, initial look at the conferences since 2000. The prophet has always spoken on Saturday. Oh, man. So you just did it. Can you tell them to... Nathan Greer, love the choir. Proud USU alum here. With so many full beards, I think they were trolling their BYU brethren. Ha ha ha. Cesar E. Guillen, or Guillen. It's funny how speculation is such a trend. Cesar, you may be in the wrong place. So this is what my channel is about. We talk about future possibilities, and it's okay to think about possibilities. Jill Brown, Hollins have COVID. Yes, they have COVID. The haystack, it's called the spirit sandwich. Start big, end big. Oh, I'd never heard that before, but that makes sense. B-dubs, I'm not sure if this has already been mentioned, but you might want to consider including troubled world when you add fallen world to your phrase tracker. Both seem to be said a lot lately. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that. Okay, so we're going to do fallen world, troubled world. Have you guys noticed any other like phrases that keep coming up? Let's see. Jeff H. I have a friend that would choose a word like faith, and then he'd do push-ups anytime that word was said during conference. Oh, yeah, I'll bet that faith would probably get you built up pretty good. Daniel Hershey, I'm sure they will not, but I love General Conference. Chris with 3 exclamation points. Like the shirt. I've heard President Nelson is giving final warning tomorrow before things get crazy. I recommend everyone tune in tomorrow morning. Chris. You have to back that up. Where did you hear that at? I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt, but I'm not saying that you're lying. But that's a pretty intense claim, and I hope you're right. That better happen, Chris. That better happen. Stephanie Bagley says 3rd Nephi 11 has been mentioned 5 times. Yeah, that's one thing that I've been wanting to. I'm going to count that up once we have all the talks out, because that definitely has been a huge theme, is talking about 3rd Nephi. Not just 3rd Nephi 11, but just 3rd Nephi in general. I'm going to make a little note just so I can quickly and easily remember what I need to do after this conference. Rising Generation. Well, that's already part of my phrase track. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm seeing some new people that I don't think I've seen before commenting. Okay, so out of all these millions of spreadsheets that I have one that where I track different phrases. Okay, I'm able to do this using the BYU Scripture Citation Index. It lets you search a number of things, including General Conference talks, and you can look for specific phrases and words. And so I've gone through. This is a chronology. Right now, it goes from the year 2022 back to 1942, because that's as far back as it goes. And I take a tally of the number of General Conference talks that contain these words and phrases. So just a really easy example, look at this. You have Covenant Path, which is in the dark red for the last few years, from 2018 onward, because that's kind of like it's like a phrase that President Nelson has kind of like taken and he's like run with it. You don't really see it so much going back. The first time that you do see it is in 2007. That's the first time that the phrase Covenant Path was said in General Conference. So I have a whole playlist. If you're curious, I go over all of the. I've done a video for all of these. You can go to my playlist. It's called Scripture and Word Frequency, and it is pretty telling. There is reason to believe. It's not just pure speculation like a lot of people think. There is actual reason to believe that we're really close to the second coming if you were to use the frequency of certain terms as a guide when they show up in General Conference. So that one, the one that you just said, now I've lost the comment. Oh, Rising Generation. It was Ephraim's Maiden. Rising Generation is already on here. In fact, let me show you something interesting about Rising Generation. There it is. Don't worry, I'll make it bigger so you can see it easier. Rising generation. Okay. You see this? Here's the 40s, comes up, 3 times. Here's the 50s, it comes up 4 times. 60s and 70s, it just kind of like, it's just kind of here and there. It's just kind of spotty. But starting in 2006 and every year afterward, it gets mentioned every single year. It's just a solid block of talking about rising generation. And so it looks like this year is going to be the same with April 2023. I don't know how many times it's been used, but it's been used quite a bit. So that leads me to believe that the generation that's rising as of 2006 and probably before as well, is the generation of the second coming. And when I say the generation of the second coming, I'm talking about that'll be kind of like young as the second coming starts, like, 20s, 30s, maybe. That's the way that I think about it. Okay. Cesar E. Gillian, I like your channel though. Well, I hope so, Cesar. You should know that we do a lot of speculation. I'm just teasing with you. I hope you had a good conference. Okay, I'm going to skip down. There's been a lot of chat. Let's see. Chris says, yes, a very nice old man, almost as old as President Nelson. We talked on Friday. Chris, you can't just say that you talked to an old man. Oh, wait. You said earlier, President Nelson friend. Ooh. Okay. Chris, there's got to be some kind of consequence if this doesn't happen. Okay. So if this doesn't happen, you're going to have to do, let's just say 1,000 push-ups. 1 push-up for every year of the millennium. Huh?
You said he has to do 1,000 push-ups?
Yeah. He's promising the millennium 1 push-up for every year, Chris, if this doesn't happen. Good job. Phil, 6182, get your rest and take your vitamins. Mm-hmm. Yep. Latter-day Help. I loved how at the end of the morning session, President Nelson let a little girl go up on the stand. Truly shows how much President Nelson reflects the Savior. Yep. Loretta Flammer. I loved the comment about those of us raising our kids right now, being the rising generation as we raise the rising generation. Yep. Now I do have I have a generations playlist. If you're new to the channel, there have been a lot of really surprising statements about specific generations. Mostly maybe the late baby boomers, but definitely Generation X, and even more definitely millennials, and then even more, the ones right now. But I really think that most people alive right now are probably going to see it, based on, not just based off of feelings, it's based on talks and things that have been said. Just believe me, just watch that playlist. If you haven't watched those videos, it'll probably blow you away. Lean on Christ says, my sister who is on a mission said her district has been making wish lists for every transfer. So I decided to make a wish list for general conference, and I think I'm going to do this every time. Sounds like a good idea. So I'm kind of all over the place. There's a lot of activity in the chat, and that's great. Sky Rush Productions. I wonder what will happen with President Nelson tomorrow. That is the big question right now. Sky Rush. Buck 14 Red. Hi from the Taxman from Ogden. Hello. Yeah, we're almost done with the tax season, aren't we? Just half a month left. Daniel Hershey. The spreadsheets are in the description below. Yes. Anyone can access my spreadsheets. You can't change anything on it, but click any video you watch on my channel. In the description below is a link for the spreadsheets, and you can copy from them if you want to like add some of that information to your own spreadsheet or whatever. I have lots of quotes on a bunch of different topics and lots of other fun stuff.
book in comfort?
No.
I was gonna say, wow.
Lean on Christ. I think that the focus on raising a righteous generation reminds me of a sin-resistant generation, which is the people of the millennium. We need to be sin-resistant. Yep. Goblin, tomorrow is Palm Sunday, so there might be something special going to happen. I hope so. Well, like I said, we know that Palm Sunday seems to be special and important all of a sudden. Before this conference, we were wondering if we could look at it similar to how we look at the Jewish feast days, how the Jewish feast days are appointed times for things to happen. There have been 2 Jewish feast days where something specific to our church has happened in this dispensation. One, Joseph Smith receiving the gold plates on Rosh Hashanah, and 2, Elijah coming to the Kirtland Temple on First Fruits. So it seems like they're still valid and they still have significance. But something that we haven't really considered too much are these other days that are kind of like celebrated by other Christian churches. But Palm Sunday, after we started like looking into it, I kind of realized that it's a highly significant day because when Christ was here the first time, that was kind of like his day of like being really truly recognized and treated as a king as he entered Jerusalem. Although many knew that he was king, they recognized that he was Messiah. But that was like a day where it actually, like in a very incredible way, was manifest. So it could be a foreshadowing of Christ when he comes again, of the second coming, when he comes as king of the world. So anyway, there's just a lot to it, but I'm wondering if they're focusing on it just because of what Elder, who was it? I think it was Elder Stevenson said. Yeah, Elder Gary Stevenson. His first talk, it was the first talk of conference, was talking about placing more emphasis on Easter to the point where it was one of the not weirdest, but one of the more curious things that I've ever heard in conference, where they're talking about the need to have one holiday have more importance. Not just like, yeah, we need to like really think about what it means, but he was calling for new art, festivals, concerts, music, like really trying to like actually turn it into the way that we look at Christmas. And I feel like that would take a lot of effort. And I wonder if that's because in the millennium, that's what the Lord wants. He wants us to, yes, remember when he was born, but Easter, celebrating the atonement and the resurrection, maybe it's that time that maybe Easter's going to change. We're not going to, once we get into the millennium, we're not going to be doing chocolate eggs and egg coloring and stuff like that. By the way, I have to show you this. Let me hold on. First, let me go to this screen. I got to show you my eggs. I did a YouTube short showing this, but we are now getting eggs like we used to back when we had our first flock. Okay, here it is. Check that out. Now those are some Easter eggs. That's the real deal. Not painted. Well, I guess biologically painted by our chickens. We have blue, green, light pink, darker pink. We also have like a brownish one. Like it's not really here, but we have one hen that's laying some like brown eggs, and they're kind of speckled, aren't they, honey?
No.
I could have sworn I saw one that was a little bit speckled.
Maybe a tiny bit, it looked like a little bit of dirt was speckled on it.
We'll have to look into that closer, but look at those eggs. Anyway, I would be happy to move away from the Easter bunny and chocolate and stuff like that, and truly make it like the way that we look at Christmas. Christmas is such a special time of the year, and there's so much that goes into it. And it's not just like feeling it in your heart. That's a big part of it, but it's the aesthetic of it and the culture and the traditions and stuff that help you really hone that feeling in. And if we could have something like that for Easter, that would just be amazing. Let's see, Daniel Hershey. It would be better if Christ announced the temple locations. What kind of conversation have you guys been having in the chat? Eric William Park. It makes sense, Jared. Easter is the keystone of Christianity. Yeah, I would love to see Easter revamped and like I don't know how, but just the way it is right now, I'm not a big fan of pastel colors and I don't know, something's got to change. Maybe I'm hoping for too much. Daniel L. Perhaps President Nelson is just saving his words for a very specific time. He's 98, going to be 99. All prophets that got to that age spoke less and less. Well, that's true. That's probably true. I don't know. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna find out for sure. I'm gonna go and add on to this. President Nelson talks. I'm going to expand this timeline. So what I'm going to do, maybe this will be, maybe I'll do this next week. I'm going to go through and maybe I'll add all the other prophets and we'll see what the patterns have been like. Because you know what, Dan, maybe you're right. Maybe this is like just typical, but I just don't think so. Because like I said, the way that he looks right now, he still has, it seems like, a lot of vitality. When he talks, it's not like he's like struggling when he talks. But of course, you can kind of like put on a face or like, it's not necessarily an indication of your health. But the only way that we can know for sure if that's true or not is if we put it on a spreadsheet. So that's, I think I'll try and do that this next week. Give me a second. Let's go back to, oh, didn't mean to do that. That is me when I was in the Army, by the way. The Army's not endorsing this chat or live stream. This is just a picture of me in the Army. Let me get back to the eggs though. Can I open this in a separate tab? Yes. So let's just do it like that. Okay. Buck 14 Red, church security looked like the dudes from the Hitman movie. They look like some pretty serious guys. I'll tell you that. Tony Clark, I think next year I will celebrate Lent as a way to focus on Easter in a different way. I was reading about it today, and it's an interesting way to sacrifice to celebrate. You know, the first time I ever heard of Lent was actually at Fort Hood in the Army, because we had some, there's like another, my wife's Army wife friend, they were Army wife friends. They're like, oh yeah, we're doing Lent, and it's a fast of like, right? Weren't they fasting from fish or
something to fast from? That's like they like fasting from TV for a month or something, or 2 weeks. I don't know.
okay, so some weird thing. If you're up for that, Tony, then go for it. Me, I don't know. Let's see. Ginger S. All truth is found upon the spreadsheet. Yes. Yep. Lean on Christ. The Leahona has amazing ideas for Easter. It has ideas for every day leading up to Easter, starting tomorrow, Palm Sunday. I definitely want to make it special time to focus on the Savior. Ooh, that'd be a good idea, everybody. That would be a good idea. K Diva, I love the pastel colors. I love Easter and spring. I've always said Easter, when we celebrate the most important event in history of mankind, I dislike the Easter bunny. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could do it the pastel colors. It's left like a feeling in my mind. Just like, I feel like it's, I don't know how to describe it. Like frilly, frumpy, just, I don't know. It just has a weird feeling to me. I think it's just how I grew up. Eric Law, pastel equals spring flowers for me. Daniel Kirby, there were a lot of warnings about tribulations and keeping the faith despite of it. Elder Hunsaker, 70 in our general conference, said we have mountains in our lives, but bigger mountains are coming. Sack of soft food. Jared like spreadsheet challenge accepted. Oh, I'm like spreadsheet challenge accepted. Yeehaw with a cowboy hat. Al Parsons, Jared, I hope you check it. You check it formally, but it looks like the prophet has always spoken on Saturday since at least 1970. I will. I am going to check that. Maybe I'll try and. It seems like kind of a daunting thing, but maybe I can like maybe it's not going to be as bad as I think. So maybe I'll do that video sooner than later, and we'll get to the bottom of that mystery. Goblin, are you going to make deviled eggs? Deviled eggs are good. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. I love deviled eggs. Not a big fan of the name. We should change that to something like resurrected eggs or something. The Tractor Legacy. Hi, Jared. I've got big corns on my feet. I can't seem to get them off, and the doctor can rip them off either. Do you think in the resurrection? This is a serious question now. Do you think in the resurrection they will disappear and be fully healed to normal feet? Yeah, in the resurrection, if you die, yeah. But my question is, when we're translated, those of us that are alive and we're translated, obviously it changes something with your body. But as to our physical ailments, disease, deformities, stuff like that, does translation take care of that? I don't know. Believe me, I got some things that I want fixed too. Latter-day Help. I like the church created a Holy Week study guide. Hopefully, we'll make this upcoming week special as we focus on Christ. Yep. Well, one thing that'll probably happen. This is an interesting thought. Um, when Christ comes and he comes to the Jews, they're no longer gonna they're no longer gonna celebrate Passover. Um, I would assume because now they realize that Christ is the Messiah. But there's probably gonna still have kind of like that feeling of wanting to in the springtime have a week that's special. And so maybe this could be like a merging of Passover with you know the Holy Week. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe this is why they're wanting to do it. Maybe they want us to kind of like celebrate this Holy Week more, so maybe it's a little bit more familiar to the Jews. Not just that, but also to celebrate it more because of what it represents. But I don't know. Sorry, but maybe it's I don't know. Sherry Kennedy, my husband calls them stuffed eggs. He doesn't want to pay homage to the devil. Oh, that's good. Yeah, stuffed eggs. We it's funny because we usually do stuffed eggs, mozzarella sticks, like a bunch of like finger foods, both for the Super Bowl and for General Conference. But we didn't think about it this year. I didn't think about it either. Okay. Uh, Zybarth says main talk to the church on Sunday morning. Closing remarks on Sunday afternoon. Yeah. And that's another thing. I don't know if that's just been a President Nelson thing or if it goes back because I never really paid so much attention to the details of General Conference until I started doing this channel. I don't know about you guys, but yes, that's typically how it's been, at least for the last several conferences or his whole presidency. The main talk by the prophet is during Sunday morning. So we have that to look forward to if that's what happens tomorrow morning. Bob Canning, I heard the Elders Quorum in Independence, Missouri will fast set up 1,000 chairs, and the Relief Society was asked to make enough casseroles for 1,000 people. Cool. Zybar says President Nelson has toyed with the formula a little bit, but not a ton. Dan L. Whatever President Nelson says tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be very direct, firm, and loving. Maybe we'll be told that the times of the Gentiles is over now. Just anything's possible. Here's the situation that we're faced with. So for the first time in church history, we were told that time is running out in April of 2019. And then the October 2022 General Conference, this last one, it's the first time, it is also the first time that a prophet has ever told the people listening that they are the people of the second coming. He called on us to be the people of the second coming. And that was actually repeated, I believe, in this last session that we just watched. In fact, I think I took a note on that. Yeah, Milton Roja Camargo. He quoted President Nelson when he said, "A people ready and willing to." I'm going to read the actual quote. I honestly can't read it enough because it was like one of the most stunning things that I've ever heard a prophet say. I think that was during Overcome the World and Find Rest. People. Okay, as I have stated before, the gathering of Israel is the most important work taking place on the earth today. One crucial element of this gathering is preparing a people who are able, ready, and worthy to receive the Lord when he comes again. A people who have already chosen Jesus Christ over this fallen world. A people who rejoice in their agency to live the higher, holier laws of Jesus Christ. And then this is the part right here. I call upon you, my dear brothers and sisters, to become this righteous people. The only thing that ever kind of came close to this, well, there's been a few things, but there was President Eyring when he did the Sisters in Zion. Let's see, Eyring. Let's see, granddaughters. You sisters, this was October 2020. You sisters, your daughters, your granddaughters, and the women you have nurtured will be at the heart of creating that society of people who will join in glorious association with the Savior. You'll be an essential force in the gathering of Israel and in the creation of a Zion people who will dwell in peace in the New Jerusalem. And he talks a lot about Enoch here in his city. He quotes a couple scriptures here that you don't find in any other General Conference talk. This was a pretty pointed, pretty explicit talk as well. Okay. Cheryl L. Last Saturday session is only 90 minutes. It was cut short. That is how it is scheduled. Okay. So it was supposed to be 90 minutes, but it was cut short, and it's probably because of what Robin Rush said. It's maybe President or Elder Holland was supposed to fill that last slot or something. Delia Oswald, how about divine eggs? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's even better. Divine eggs, because it sounds close. Divine egg. Okay. Chris. Oh, here we go with Chris again. Think President Eyring said we will need to follow counsel in coming months and years. So we have gone from coming years to months. Yeah, and we were talking a lot how President Nelson said that in coming days we're going to see the greatest manifestations of the Savior's power that the world has ever seen. Yeah. Chris, dollar is going to crash this summer. This has a lot to do with their urgency. Well, yeah, possibly. Unless you have more insider information, Chris. Let's see. Brian Kramer, heavy on 3rd Nephi. Yep, they were. I'm going to count that up once we have all the talks available on the church website. Joyce, what happened to the third session? Did it happen? It happened, but it was basically just an hour. And we're thinking that it may have been cut short a little bit if Elder Holland was supposed to talk, which we don't know for sure. Because if it was like last minute, then yeah, then they wouldn't be able just to have somebody do a talk on the spot. I mean, maybe they could, but they probably wouldn't do that. So maybe it was like a last minute thing. I don't know. Lean on Christ. I love the talk by President Eyring. Ephraim's Maiden. When did he... Okay, what? When did he say that, Chris? Daniel Kirby. Elder Uchtdorf again spoke at length about the for the strength of youth. Mrs. Mindful Mama. Yes, that was quoted today a couple of times, I thought. What, mine? About being a people, I call on you, my dear brothers and sisters, to become this righteous people. Is that what you're talking about? Delia Oswald is laughing. Karen, haha, nuclear codes. Oh, is someone talking about like that, the black suitcase that President Nelson has that his bodyguard like carries around? Joyce, I heard Eyring say just the opposite. It sounded to me like it'll be my great grandchildren ushering in the Savior. I would hold off on that for now. I think we need to read that again, because I know what you're talking about, but it doesn't seem to jive with everything else that we've heard. If you'll remember, or if you're new, maybe you wouldn't remember, but I have, let's see, what do I call it? So I have two pretty key timelines. One is the Rising Generation timeline, where I've gone through all the way back to Joseph Smith, 1843. Bruce R. McConkie took note of this statement that he made. Okay. I'm not going to go over that again. You'll just have to go watch my playlist about the Rising Generation. But Joseph Smith talked about a certain generation that would see the second coming. And the way that we calculated it, and the way that Bruce R. McConkie calculated it, is that it would be President Nelson's generation right here. President Nelson's generation. That's the generation Joseph Smith talked about. And what's amazing about President Nelson is that he's almost 100. And we've talked about the possibility that he would be the first, among the first people to go from being in a translated state to a resurrected state and not dying, not being put in the grave. So that's one reason to believe that it really is very soon. Remember, we also have other quotes and stuff like last year, President Nelson said for FSY, and I have the audio clip. If you want a copy of this, just email me. But he said that we're in the last half of the ninth inning, otherwise known as the bottom of the ninth, which in baseball, that means the very end of the game. But I have all these quotes right here talking about these generations, and they're all still applicable today, but it's like running out of time. So I wouldn't lose hope with that. And then I have all these quotes too that are just like incredibly interesting quotes. Anyway, I've done videos about that. One of the big ones, I'll just, in case you didn't see this video, I watched the British Columbia, Alberta area devotional. And in that devotional, Sister Nelson said, and she put this up on the screen, this was just after the October General Conference last year, 2022. She said, two friends of ours who were leaders of MTC but are now serving as senior missionaries in Malta, wrote us and said, quote, "This conference was the very best. President Nelson, we feel you've asked us to get on the ark." Okay, she wasn't just telling a story. She wasn't just like, whoa, wasn't that conference amazing? Look what our friends said about it. They give it a good review. She was, in a soft way, in a way, letting us know, hey, it's over. It's time to get on the ark. Okay, and it jives with everything else that's being said in General Conference and by other general authorities. It's unbelievable where we're at right now. It is truly unbelievable. Yeah, let's do it like that. Chris, saying it is so close that even your elderly will be able to live to see that. And he even talked about City of Enoch returning and them seeing that too. I think this was about a year ago. What do you, Chris? You're kind of a rising star in this chat. Today is when he said months, but okay, so he's talking about President Eyring, but in reference to other comment about generation, President Eyring, a couple conferences said, your grandparents, your kids. Oh yeah, that what I just read, the Sisters in Zion. Okay, let's get caught up again here. Dan L. Temple in Far West, and the initiation for Manasseh to start building Zion before the Great War. I mean, maybe, possibly. Cesar E. Gillian, or Gillen. I think it's Gillian because it's like a Hispanic name. Have you ever read the book Religions? I've already, sorry, I can't bring that back up. That's a hot topic. It's a controversial topic. Kimberly Butler, odd that President Nelson didn't speak. Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. During his presidency, there has not been a Saturday that he has not spoke. So this has not happened since he became president. And I'm going to go back, like this next week, I'm going to do a video going back in time and seeing what the pattern has been with other presidents of the church. Have they all spoken on Saturday? I don't know. There was one person here that said that, just kind of like looking through it just quickly, it seemed to him or her that that the presidents of the church always speak on Saturday. So this could be a first in church history. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure that the Deseret News would maybe talk about that. Maybe. Church leaders turn members' focus toward Christ on eve of Palm Sunday. This is like another thing. I've never in my life thought about the eve of Palm Sunday, like let alone Palm Sunday. I always kind of wrote that off as like that's something that other churches do. Let's see. Oh, here we go. They're saying something. Church President Russell M. Nelson did not speak on the Saturday of General Conference for the first time in his administration, but is expected to address the membership Sunday. Okay, so they even took note of that, which, I mean, of course. Sorry. All right, that's good. Zybarth sent an email with the schedule. Okay, cool. Well, Jay Kennedy, it's not just me. There's a lot of other people that don't either. But the last time we talked about it, people got feelings hurt and just, yeah. My opinion, I don't accept it. But that's cool. I mean, whatever. Just I'm not. It's not my thing. Don't get mad. Latter-day Help. Oh, wait, no. Lisa Alvarez. Hello from Dallas. President Nelson told us now is the time last April 2022. Yeah, he did. He did. This is what she's talking about. If you go to General Conference, you go to the very last talk. It's called Now is the Time. Now, what's interesting about this talk, okay, is it has like kind of like a predecessor or a sister talk or however you want to think of it called, let's see, Russell M. Nelson, Now is the Time to Prepare. Here it is. This is one of the 17s, okay, that appeared in the April 2022 General Conference. So what happened, April 2022, President Nelson gives a talk called Now is the Time. And he quotes this poem by Henry Van Dyke about a sundial at Wells College in New York, okay? 17 years earlier, he gave this talk called Now is the Time to Prepare. So if you were to look at these two talks together, in 2005, Now is the Time to Prepare, well, in April 2022, it's just simply Now is the Time. The implication being there's no more preparing. Of course, there's still time to prepare, but we're just that much closer, right? And in that same talk, 17 years ago, he shared the same the same poem. Right here. The shadow by my finger cast. The shadow by my finger cast. Same poem. So I feel like that was very intentional. He didn't just like let somebody else choose the name of the talk, I don't think. I think it's intentional. And there's a little message there. A lot of what he's been saying is pretty clear, I would say. Cesar E. Gillian, did not know you had talked about this book before. Let me know when you spoke on this so I can watch it in your channel. Well, it was during it was during a live stream, and I do a lot of just kind of like impromptu random live streams, so I can't say exactly when it was, but if you want to try and find it, go check out my live streams and then check the comments section for lots of angry comments, and that'll be the one. WTEG, first you poach the egg, then you translate it. That's an ether egg. Okay. Cheryl L., it's too bad the rest of the world didn't understand. Mrs. Mindful Mama, Chris is referring to President Eyring's talk, Sisters in Zion, obviously talking to elderly, middle-aged parents of youth and youth as well, all being there. Yeah. Yep. Ephraim's Maiden, would it be bad to do a Hosanna shout as a family on your own as part of an Easter Palm Sunday tradition, or only as directed as a church group? I'm pretty sure probably just as a church group. It seems like it's something that comes at the direction of, probably the first presidency, and maybe they authorize it to be done at temple dedications, or maybe apostles can do it. I don't know, but maybe research it. I can't authoritatively say yes or no, but that's my guess. Mindy with Temples of Jesus, I have kids and we're so behind. Stupid primary Skittles bingo. 4-year-old fits past hour sugar emotions. Latter-day Hell, President Eyring gave a similar talk during the women's session of conference in 2017. Number 17 pops up again. Yep. Well, 2017 itself had a lot of interesting things going on in it. Mindy from Temples of Jesus channel. Question: did President Nelson speak? Anyone, please? No, that was a big thing that we were talking about earlier, but there's always people joining the chat, so I'll just repeat it. So I pulled up my... let me find it. President Nelson talks. So, no, he did not speak. That means that he hasn't spoken all day. And this is the first time in his presidency that he has not spoken on a Saturday. Out of his 11 general conferences that he's had as president of the church, there's only 3 that he did not do, that he didn't give a talk during the Saturday morning session. Only 3 out of 11. 2 of them were during the general priesthood session, and the other time was during the Saturday afternoon session. And they seemed, at least 2 of them seemed to happen during significant conferences, in my opinion. What I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to check with all the other presidents of the church to see what their patterns have been, because we've also had the point brought up that maybe he's speaking less because he's reaching the end of his life, because someone said that seems to be how it was with other presidents of the church, that they started to speak less in conference, which I'm not sure about. I can't say that for sure, so that's one reason why I'm going to go ahead and go back and just check everybody out as far back as I can go. So, and could it be indicative of something special tomorrow? Sure. Yeah, maybe. If we zoom in on this, this is just a total number of talks for each conference. So first conference 5, and then 4, and then 3, and that's where in the very middle we have that special talk, the "Come Follow Me" talk, where he says time is running out, and then back up to 4, and then 5, and then we got 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, and then I guess we'll have to see if tomorrow it's just 2 or maybe 3. He could talk twice during one session, maybe. So I don't know. Kind of weird. Maybe special. Tim Washington, yes, thank you, Jared. It's nice to have a place where like-minded people can come and talk with each other about interesting gospel topics. I'm glad that I can provide that. It makes me happy too. It's fun to be able to talk to everybody, especially those that are like-minded. Hunter Draper, hello from Oahu. I'm active duty Army here. Thanks for all you do, Jared. Thank you, and thank you for your service. And there's times that, I wish I was still in the Army. That's why I still have this. I mean, this isn't the one that I was issued, obviously. I turned all my stuff back into CIF, all my OCIE. But after I got out, I was still just missing the Army. And I decided just to kind of buy some of the stuff back. So I have a vest, and as you can see, I have an ACH and other stuff. I look so crazy right now. Here, let's see. Will it help if I put the chin strap on over my fat face? There, am I less crazy now with a chicken shirt on? Okay, Dan L. I know that President Monson gave 2 talks toward the end of his life during the last 2 conferences of his life, and they were very short, about 5 minutes each. I'm just kidding. I bet this is being too irreverent. Too irreverent. Okay. Samuel Zapata, is your Google Sheets info public and blocked for editing, or is it something you only share on your vids? Just curious, because I would love to see it on its fullness. It looks super interesting. Yes, you can access it. Just go to the description of any video on my channel, and there's a link for it. You cannot edit it, but you can copy from it. So I have a ton of quotes and stuff like that. So if there's if you have your own Word document or spreadsheet or something, you can copy and just copy it from my spreadsheet if you want to. One that I think is really good is and not everybody agrees with this, with everything that I have on here, but the very first tab, there's all these tabs at the bottom. Okay, you can click on the three bars right here, and you can more easily go through all the things. But the common misconceptions spreadsheet, this is one of my favorites because I hear people say these things all the time, like nobody's going to know when the second coming is going to happen, and that's not true. Joseph Smith said that the prophet will know. Other people say, oh, even Christ himself is not going to know. That's not true. According to a Joseph Smith translation and something that Bruce R. McConkie points out, the Savior will know. And there's like a whole bunch of other things, so this would probably be a good starting point if you're new to it, to my spreadsheet. And I have the references too. I have the references here, so you can find out exactly where I found it. And I'm trying to use the Chicago Manual of Style for my citations. Gotta look professional, as I'm wearing a crazy chicken shirt. Tim Washington, any newcomers to the channel are going to wonder what kind of topic this is about with the helmet. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Here, let me pull this up one more time, just because I'm not going to lie. I'm happy how I look in this picture. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull a couple up just for the fun of it. Let's do that one. I'll show you in a minute. See all photos. Here we go. That. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. Sorry, just 1 minute. It'll definitely maybe be worth it. Probably not. I want to find a good mission photo. There. Oh no. Sorry, everybody. There it is. I don't know what happened. So, here I am when I was on my mission. I'm this middle one here. The person that looks kind of like me, but about 1,000 pounds lighter, that's me. And then this is me in the army. Also, well, more like 1,015 pounds lighter. This is when I was in AIT. Yeah, for my job, I had to learn different weapon systems, and because it's common practice to make the supply person in your unit the armorer as well, which did in fact happen to me. Yay. And then here's me again, but this is later after my deployment. So I have my deployment patch right here. I'm wearing my cav hat. Awesome. And yeah, so that's what's going on there. Vinyl SP putting on the full armor. I see. I hope you meant full armor. This was no. I was awesome. I'm just kidding. Joyce, good idea. Caritzi, I'll put on a dress for sure. I usually do anyway. Oh, by the way, if you're talking about me, I'll probably dress up too tomorrow because it's Sunday. I was kind of. I didn't want to do it today, but I'll wear a white shirt and tie tomorrow. White Willows Academy, Chrissy, I've been feeling the same way. Beth Jukes, Jared, what stood out to you the most today? What stood out the most to me was just right off the bat, Elder Stevenson talking about the need to elevate Easter to the level of Christmas, because that just, I guess it's not a surprise, but it was kind of a surprise. I didn't expect that to be said. Um, I feel like that was in preparation for the millennium. I'm sure that Easter is going to be a huge holiday during the millennium, more so than Christmas, just because of what it represents, and because the resurrected Christ is going to uh, be with us from at least from time to time. So that was interesting. President Nelson not talking today was interesting because, like we've noted, that hasn't happened so far during his presidency. It may indicate that something special will happen tomorrow, or he'll have something special to say. Maybe not. Um, the emphasis on like the children and raising your children right, being a good example. Um, there was that really good talk about following the prophet in the first session, which I thought was pretty incredible. There's been a lot of like debate and stuff going on about following the prophet, and I felt like he nailed that pretty good. There's just kind of a lot of talk about the rising generation. Um, yeah. See, El Mencho says, I think that President Nelson will speak twice in the final session. Crazy announcement talk and temple announcement to end it. That could be. It could be. Tracy, it's a T Sweets Day, says, regarding President Eyring, the signs are all around us as women in travail. He is coming in soon. Our leaders have been talking boldly, telling us we have front view seats. Yeah, that was like one of, yeah, not just our grandchildren. Yeah. Well, maybe this week, maybe a good thing for me to do would just be do a review of all the quotes that I've collected that are pretty explicit, you know, and there's probably going to be even more from this conference. Daniel Hershey is laughing like a madman. Il Mencho, I wonder how do you apply to be a church bodyguard? Probably just you go to like the church employment website and just look for a job opening. Let's see. I need to go in a little bit. Got a couple things I got to do tonight before we go to bed. All right, honey, are you gonna be ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, just like another minute here. Beth Jukes, yes, I talked about that with the Young Women's president tonight, and I think we're gonna do a traditional Passover meal with our youth. Good. Just make sure don't have alcoholic wine. Have grape juice, maybe. Sky Rush Productions, that was a funny talk. Karen McCain, when Christ eventually shows up at conference, will he be clean shaven? We were talking about that recently in another live stream, like a couple days ago. I don't know. The reason why he looked like that, my understanding, is because he had taken the Nazarite vow. You find the Nazarite vow, oh gosh, I can't remember if it's in Leviticus or Numbers, but back then the requirements was to not cut your hair, do not come in contact with any dead, and then not partaking of wine or any products of any like grape products. Those were like the three requirements. So you would take the vow for a certain amount of time. My understanding is that you could pick the amount of time. It didn't have to be for a lifetime. It could be, 5 years or whatever. And once you were done, it could be a man or woman. Once you were done, you'd go to the temple. They have a chamber there that's for cutting your hair, and then you go and burn it on the altar. And so Christ was from Nazareth, and so he was a Nazarene because he was a resident and from Nazareth. But the Nazarite vow, you don't have to be from Nazareth to do that. So the fact that he's completed his mission, and it seemed like being a Nazarite went along with his earthly mission. Since that's been completed, I don't know. Another thing I wonder is that when we're talking about being resurrected and having your perfect full body, your your like a perfected body. Well, men are meant to have beards. That's why it grows out of our face. And long hair, I wouldn't be surprised. I think there's a reason why like Heavenly Father and Christ are depicted that way in artwork, because maybe, when we're done with the culture of this world, maybe that's the appropriate way to appear as a man in the eternities, So maybe he would still have that same kind of appearance. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to put any restrictions on it because he can do whatever he wants. Chris, have you ever read the Von G. Featherstone prophecy? Yes, I've done a video on it. It's not so much a prophecy. The Interpreter Foundation did a really good piece on that, where, because the thing goes that people assume that the first presidency or the prophet signed off on his letter, and they didn't. It got put into the church archives, but it wasn't like he went there, got their approval, and then put it in the time capsule. He was assuming that Christ would be there by that time. I can't do the whole video. Just do a search on my channel for Featherstone letter, and I go through all those details. But my opinion is that he's probably right. He probably has it on good authority that by that time Christ should have come. And the reason why I say that is because Bruce R. McConkie in Millennial Messiah, he talks about the fact that no, we may not know the day or the hour. The prophet will, but you can certainly narrow it down to a generation. And so in Bruce R. McConkie talked about the generation, and the generation is President Nelson's generation. It's getting to the end of that generation. So anyway, if you're new to the channel, or even if you're not, if you haven't seen all my videos, I'm not like trying to whatever, but I've covered many things. If you've been watching my channel for a little bit, you know that I'm pretty prolific with the videos. I now have, let me see how many videos I have. I number them. I keep track of it by my thumbnails, because I number them. I can't do it off of YouTube because they count my shorts as well, and I don't count those as videos. So full length videos with a thumbnail, I have done 1,006. This would be the 1,068th. I'm including this live stream. So check out my playlist if you're ever bored or whatever. Just go back, because we talked about so many things. Will we still have different hair colors? I'll bet we will. Joseph Fielding Smith in Doctrines of Salvation, he talks about, for example, how there's still going to be different races. It's not just going to be one race. You're still going to have a diversity of races, and so therefore you would still have diversity, and I assume that would carry over to hair. I don't know, maybe, because I know that a lot of times, you have the depiction of white hair, white beards, but I don't know. I'm not sure if there's ever been any statement on that, but I know that there's going to be a diversity of people when it comes to ethnicity and race and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, I gotta go. We gotta make it to this one place before it closes. Because we can't do any shopping tomorrow. It's Sunday. So I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining me. I plan on doing live streams tomorrow as well after each session, and I'm hoping that we have even more really exciting things to talk about. Even if it's just, temple announcements, that's still really exciting to see where temples are going to be, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's probably going to be special tomorrow. I feel like this conference already has a special feel to it, but we'll just have to wait and see. So you guys have a good night.